Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching the news. Let's begin with the headlines first. Union Cabinet extends Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana by 6 months, 80 crore people to benefit. In first cabinet meeting after taking oath, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister extends free ration scheme for 3 more months. BJP leader Ramapati Shastri nominated pro tem speaker. MOU with WHO to set up Global Centre for Traditional Medicine in Jamnagar. Prime Minister Modi and Ayush Minister Sonowal says opportunity for Indian medicine to get global recognition. Ukrainian President Zelensky urges Russia to resume peace talks. American President Biden meets Ukraine's foreign and defense ministers in Warsaw, Poland. And 15th season of Indian Premier League gets underway at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Chennai Super Kings takes on Kolkata Knight Riders in the opening match. Let's now take a look at some more important news quickly. Prime Minister Modi to attend 5th BIMSTEC Summit virtually on 30th of March. India to resume regular international flights from midnight tonight. PM Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to leave on a 5-day visit to Maldives and Sri Lanka from today. President Ramnath Kovind arrives in Dehradun on a 2-day visit to Uttarakhand. Maharashtra government reduces VAT on CNG from 13.5% to 3%. Tamil Nadu attracts 1,600 crore rupees worth investment commitments from UAE-based industrial firms. And Nepal PM Sher Bahadur Deuba to visit India from 1st of April. Samajwadi Party National President AKHILESH Yadav unanimously elected leader of the SP Legislature Party in Uttar Pradesh. Chief Election Commissioner Sushil Chandra addresses Sansad Ratna Award 2022 ceremony, expresses dismay over low representation of women in Parliament. And time now for some news in detail. The centre on Saturday approved extension of the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana for 6 more months. Prime Minister Modi chaired the Union Cabinet meeting that took this decision. The benefit will be available till September of 30th, 2022. The scheme had ended in March 2022. The centre had started the scheme in April 2020 during the COVID pandemic. Under the scheme, 80 crore people were being given free food grains. After taking charge as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh for the second time, Yogi Adityanath held his first cabinet meeting on Saturday. In one of its first decisions, the cabinet decided to extend the free ration scheme for next 3 months. The scheme was started during COVID pandemic and is being extended periodically. It was last extended till March this year. Under the scheme, 15 crore people of the state will get food grains along with pulses, salt and sugar. Later, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also held a meeting with the Additional Chief Secretary, Principal Chief Secretary and other senior officers.
यह योजना चूंकि मार्च 2022 तक ही थी, आज मंत्रिमंडल ने निर्णय लिया है कि अगले 3 महीनों के लिए इस योजना को प्रदेश के सभी 15 करोड़ लोगों के लिए फिर से हम लोग लागू करेंगे.
Uttar Pradesh Governor Anandiben Patel administered the oath of office to senior BJP leader Ramapati Shastri as pro tem Speaker of the Assembly. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath was also present on this occasion. Shastri is a BJP MLA from Mankapur in Gonda district. As pro tem Speaker, he will administer oath to the newly elected MLAs of the Assembly. 8-time MLA, Shastri was Social Welfare Minister in the previous UP government. Union Home Minister Amit Shah said the BJP's massive victory in 4 states shows the acceptance of Prime Minister Modi's efforts to make India safe, prosperous and powerful. Amit Shah was inaugurating projects worth 22 crore rupees for 34 villages in Gandhinagar. Shah said people of 4 states have shown faith in Prime Minister Modi's leadership while rejecting the Congress. Amit Shah also laid the foundation stone of the railway foot overbridge at Karol Town Hall in Gandhinagar. Earlier, he inaugurated Gujarat's first audiology speech-language pathology college and a diet center at Sola Civil Hospital in Ahmedabad, marking Gujarat the fifth state to start such an institute. A CBI team today visited Bogtoi village in West Bengal's Birbhum district in its ongoing investigation into Tuesday's violent incidents that claimed 8 lives. A 20-member team investigated for clues in the house where the 7 burnt bodies were recovered. The CBI has named 21 accused. The Kolkata High Court handed the investigation to the CBI on Friday. It has sought a report from the agency by 7th of April. Leader of opposition in the West Bengal Assembly, Suvendu Adhikari, and other BJP leaders took out a Padyatra to protest against the Birbhum violence. Adhikari said the perpetrators should be caught at the earliest. Congress, led by Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, also demonstrated against the killings and Birbhum violence in Bengal. Congress leaders took out a protest march in Howrah. Jamnagar in Gujarat will soon have WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine. The Ministry of Ayush signed a host country agreement with WHO in this regard. The center will be supported by the investment of approximately $250 million from the Government of India. The primary objective is to harness the potential of traditional medicine from across the world through modern science and technology and improve overall health of the communities world over. Minister of Ayush, Shri Sarbanand Sonowal, said the initiative will be to provide affordable and reliable health services. A groundbreaking ceremony will take place on 21st of April 2022 in the presence of Prime Minister Modi.
ये अकेला WHO का ग्लोबल सेंटर फॉर ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन होंगे दुनिया में, तो इसलिए मैं मानता हूं इसके जरिए हमारे देशवासियों को दुनिया में परंपरागत चिकित्सा पद्धति में नेतृत्व देने के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा मौका मिला है.
In his message, Prime Minister Modi welcomed the initiative while stating that the Global Center at Jamnagar will help in providing the best healthcare solutions to the world. And let's now take a look at some more news from across the states. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari inaugurated 2 national highway projects in Sangli, Maharashtra. He assured that development work, be it Maharashtra or anywhere else in India, will be completed without any kind of politicization. Union Minister Sarbanand Sonowal addressed a program organized on the completion of 7 years of Sagarmala project. He said 29 projects worth 45,000 crore rupees have been successfully implemented. Sonowal also introduced a mobile application for the Sagarmala program. Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia presented a budget of 75,800 crore rupees for 2022-23 in the Assembly. The education sector was allocated 16,278 crore. Sisodia also proposed an electronic city for Delhi that could generate about 80,000 jobs. Ritu Khanduri was elected the first women speaker of Uttarakhand Assembly. She was the only candidate for the post. Khanduri is a BJP MLA from Kotdwar Assembly seat. The Madhya Pradesh Council of Ministers is holding a brainstorming meeting at Panchmadi. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan is chairing the 2-day event. Former Haryana Chief Secretary and retired IAS Vijay Vardhan is the new Chief Information Commissioner for the state. Chief Minister Manohar Lal administered the oath of office to him. Retired IAS SS Fulia also took oath as Information Commissioner. RLD President Jayant Chaudhary has said that his party will continue its election alliance with the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh. He conveyed the decision to SP Chief AKHILESH Yadav after holding a meeting with his newly elected 8 MLAs. Madurai district is hosting its traditional fishing festival. The festival is celebrated every day to herald the onset of the summer season. The ruling Biju Janata Dal is leading voting trends in Odisha's urban local body polls. BJP candidates are leading in 73 civic bodies for the post of president. Bharatiya Janata Party is leading in 16 and Congress in 7. Other candidates, including independents, are leading in 9 local bodies. Jharkhand CM Hemant Soren has written to Union Coal and Mines Minister Prahlad Joshi on the non-payment of long-standing dues. The amount running into 1.36 lakh crore relates to mining done by central PSUs in the state. The Indian Army conducted a two-day military exercise at the Siliguri corridor near the China border. This is the second such exercise in the last 3 weeks. The Army conducted the exercise from 24th of March to 25th of March, in which 600 soldiers took part. And we'll take a short break here, but coming up after the break, cities are becoming self-sufficient even for their vegetable needs.
Today, India is one of the strong military power, including missiles. We are very, very strong. Where we are right from Agni, Prithvi, Akash, Nath, Trishul, BrahMos, interceptor missile, submarine launched missile, Nirbhay.
India had started testing some key technologies, a state-of-the-art technology for guided missiles. And the world was alarmed.
Our missile regime and the results that we have seen over the years is clearly something which is a matter of pride for the country, which is a benchmark for many other countries in the world. Watch our special presentations in The Defenders only on Sansad TV.
We all know the importance of good health, but often we don't know how to achieve it. There's plenty of information available, but again, we don't know what is right and what is wrong. To know the truth and get your answers straight from some of India's top specialists, join me, Dr. Amrish Mithal, on Healthy India, only on Sansad TV.
The India Startup Story. Powerful ideas. Dynamic solutions. Innovation, enterprise. Its success and challenges. Packed in a brand new show, The Journey of Startups, only on Sansad TV.
India is swiftly creating world-class infrastructure and is aiming to emerge as the global manufacturing hub in the post-COVID world. Industrial corridors offer an effective solution by integrating industry with its relevant infrastructure needs.
Any investor who want to set up the units, they'll get developed plot of land with plug-and-play facility.
We provide all the infrastructure requirements of any industry, which helps them become competitive at the global stage.
We'll be able to generate employment for about 1 lakh people and beyond.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at news from Russia-Ukraine conflict. US President Joe Biden met the Ukraine foreign and defense ministers in central Warsaw in his first talks with top Kiev officials since Russia's invasion began. Meanwhile, Moscow has signaled that it was scaling back its invasion to focus on territories claimed by Russian-backed separatists in the east as Ukrainian forces went on the offensive to recapture towns outside Kiev.
Just 50 kilometers away from the capital city of Kiev, a part of the village is in ruins. But after a few days of Russian occupation, it is now liberated. The determination with which the Ukrainian army is facing the might of Kremlin could well change the course of the war.
The will of the Ukrainian army, the will of their government, the will of the resistance is a contributing factor to what's unfolded.
The claims by the American forces, who have been conducting regular military exercises, are nothing new. But on the other hand, the Russian army has released videos claiming advances in new areas and targeting strategic installations. On Thursday, they bombed an oil depot in Kiev. Ukraine President Zelensky has applauded the efforts of his army. He claimed more than 16,000 Russian troops had been killed so far. The Russian Defense Ministry put the figure at 1,351 army men. No matter what the death toll, after 1 month of war, there is still no sign of peace. Destruction and more damage is the only certainty. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
It has been a month of destruction, deaths and misery for Ukrainians. Their homes, neighborhoods and cities have been destroyed. Millions are forced out of their country. Global leaders are trying every diplomatic means to end the violence, but there has been no progress so far.
US President Joe Biden shared pizza and spent some light moments with US troops stationed near Poland's border with Ukraine on Friday. He thanked them for their contribution and indicated that the conflict may stretch longer and there may be a situation where their services might be required to help Ukrainian people. Prior to this meeting, President Biden had a long discussion with European Union leaders over sanctioning Russia. At last, they agreed on a formula that will end Europe's dependence on Russian gas and oil.
As a first step, the United States will provide us with an additional at least 15 billion cubic meter of LNG this year. In other words, this replaces the amount of Russian LNG for this year. And in the coming years, we're aiming for at least 50 billion cubic meters per year, and this would be able to replace 1/3 of all Russian gas supply to Europe.
However, the big question remains, will America's help be sufficient? According to Eurostat 2019 data, Russia fulfills 26.9% of the European Union's crude oil demand. In the case of natural gas, its contribution is 41.1%. As far as solid fuel is concerned, EU countries import 46.7% of their requirements from Russia. Naturally, it's not an easy task to replace Russia. In the absence of any meaningful alternative, any sanctions will be counterproductive. Meanwhile, the French president has said he will try to convince President Putin to hold peace talks. Meanwhile, the exodus of Ukrainians is continuing. According to the latest report, over 10 million people are displaced and more than 37,72,000 people have taken shelter in neighboring countries. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And we'll now take a look at some other news from around the world. Dubai will be hosting a UN climate summit next week. It comes at a time when Middle East countries are making steps to diversify their traditional oil-dependent economies, but activists say they need to be more ambitious.
Dubai is hosting a climate summit that will seek solutions to the most pressing problems facing the region due to rising global temperatures. Rising due to the very fossil fuels produced by the Gulf Arab states and others. Gulf nations are already facing climate emergency. It is evident in the rising sea levels, abnormal heat waves, extreme storms that are repeating a lot. Farmers in rural Egypt face severe water shortages along the Nile River. In Syria and Iraq, millions are at risk of losing access to water, electricity and food amid rising temperatures and record low water levels due to drought. From the Western Sahara in Morocco to the Persian Gulf in Iran, drought has sparked anger and street protests. The World Bank has identified 11 countries as the world's most water-stressed nations, including all 6 of the Gulf Arab energy-producing states. The world's top 4 CO2 emission polluters per capita are in the Persian Gulf: Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and the UAE. These countries not only face scorching hot summers, but amplified heat without nighttime reprieve due to higher levels of humidity. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Supply chain struggles earlier this year led to empty supermarket shelves across Australia's Canberra city. This raised issues about how fresh food is sourced in the city. One of the ideas that caught on in the community is the community gardens and urban farming to provide fresh food to the entire city.
This garden is in the suburbs of Canberra, looks more like a farmyard than a backyard. It has 84 tomato plants, quite a few eggplants, beans and zucchini. All part of an urban farm project for which 5 local residents contributed space in their backyards to grow vegetables.
Through all of the produce that we grow in those areas, we then supply 34 households every week a veggie box, which includes us, so we get to eat all the delicious food.
The vegetables are sold to households, ensuring it is affordable for all customers. With 90% of Canberra's leafy greens and fruit currently coming from cities like Sydney, programs like this are drawing attention. Empty supermarket shelves earlier this year drove home the realization that if food grown locally will build more resilient food systems. As residents demand more fresh produce, the answer may be in their own backyard. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Quick look at some of the stories from around the world. A small volcano in a lake near Manila threw up steam and ash after a brief explosion on Saturday. Authorities raised the alert level to the 3rd level in a 5-step warning system. Residents in high-risk villages were told to evacuate. The 1,020-foot tall is one of the world's smallest volcanoes. Residents of the lakeside villages were warned of hazards, including fast-moving gases and molten materials and volcanic tsunami as well. West African leaders say they will uphold the January sanctions imposed on Mali after its military leaders said they will postpone elections for 4 more years. The regional economic bloc, ECOWAS, made the decision during a summit in Ghana's capital. The sanctions suspended most commerce and financial aid to Mali and included land and air border closures with other ECOWAS countries. 10 nations on Friday called Taliban's decision to suspend high school for girls in Afghanistan a profoundly disturbing setback. Afghanistan's Taliban rulers unexpectedly decided against reopening schools on Wednesday to girls above the 6th grade, thereby breaking their promise to the international community. So far, they have refused to explain the sudden decision. The UN Security Council on Friday extended until 30th April 2023 the mandate of the panel of experts that oversees sanctions against North Korea. Many nations on Friday have called for tougher UN Security Council sanctions on North Korea after it test fired its biggest intercontinental ballistic missile on Thursday. Analysts say North Korea's weapons demonstrations are aimed at forcing America to accept it as a nuclear power and remove the crippling sanctions against its broken economy. Amazon workers at the company's Staten Island are voting on whether to unionize. A successful vote will mark the first successful U.S. organizing effort in Amazon's history. Rejection will be another victory for the country's 2nd largest employer in keeping unions at bay. Pro-union workers say they want better working conditions, longer breaks and higher wages. At the Staten Island facility, workers earn a minimum hourly wage just over $18, much lower than the estimated $41 per hour average for the area. And time now for sports stories, and let's start with cricket first. The most famous of all the franchisees cricket tournament of the world, the Indian Premier League, has begun in Mumbai today. Defending champions Chennai Super Kings are playing former champions Kolkata Knight Riders in the season's opener. Chennai Super Kings are being led by Ravindra Jadeja for the first time, while fast-progressing batting star Shreyas Iyer is leading the Knight Riders. There are 10 teams in IPL 2022. The final will be played on 29th of May. Host New Zealand beat Pakistan in their last first-round match of the Women's World Cup by 71 runs, registering their 3rd win and keeping their very slim hope of qualifying for the semi-finals. In today's match, New Zealand batted first and scored 265 for 8, driving on a scintillating 126 by opener. Chasing 266 to win, Pakistan could reach only 194 for 9 by the end of their 50 overs. New Zealand now have played all their 7 first-round matches in the Women's World Cup and have 6 points in total. The hosts are placed 6th in the point table. New Zealand will now hope that both India and England lose in their final first-round matches to be played tomorrow with big enough margin that boosts New Zealand's net run rate above them. In such a scenario, West Indies will be the 3rd team and New Zealand the 4th to reach the semi-finals. 2 teams, Australia and South Africa, have already made it to the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup. West Indies, having played all their matches, are at 7 points. India, England and New Zealand have 6 points each. India will certainly qualify for the last 4 if it wins against South Africa tomorrow, since India's match starts 3 hours after England's match against Bangladesh. Mithali Raj's team will have a clear picture by their mid-match as to what exactly needs to be done to reach the semi-finals, keeping the other hopefuls like the West Indies and New Zealand at bay. In football now, North Macedonia produced one of the greatest upsets in world football, beating 4 times world champions Italy 1-0 in a playoff semi-final to end Azzurri's hope of qualifying for FIFA World Cup 2022 to be played in Qatar. Alexander Trzaskowski scored in the 2nd minute of stoppage time to stun the European champion. North Macedonia will now take on Portugal in Porto on Tuesday for a chance to be in Qatar in November. Italy is the 2nd most successful World Cup team after Brazil. However, Azzurri, as the Italian football team is popularly known as, are going to miss 2nd successive FIFA World Cup after the shock loss to North Macedonia. Italian manager Roberto Mancini had become a national hero after leading the Azzurri back from the horrors of failing to reach the 2018 tournament and winning Euro 2020 last summer. Mancini is now reeling from the most painful defeat of his managerial career. Moving to badminton now, India's HS Pranoy has reached the finals of Swiss Open badminton tournament. In the semi-final, Pranoy beat the 3rd seed Indonesian Anthony Sinsuka. Pranoy won the game, a 3-games thriller, 21-19, 19-21 and 21-18. And before we bring this bulletin to an end, let's look at the headlines once again. Union Cabinet extends Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana by 6 months, 80 crore people to benefit. In first cabinet meeting after taking oath, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister extends free ration scheme for 3 more months. BJP leader Ramapati Shastri nominated pro-term speaker. MOU with WHO to set up Global Centre for Traditional Medicine in Jamnagar. Prime Minister Modi and Ayush Minister Sonowal says opportunity for Indian medicine to get global recognition. And Ukrainian President Zelensky urges Russia to resume peace talks. American President Biden meets Ukraine's foreign and defense ministers in Warsaw, Poland. In sports, 15th season of Indian Premier League gets underway at Wankhede Stadium. Mumbai, Chennai Super Kings take on Kolkata Knight Riders in the opening match. That's all in this edition of the news. We'll come back again on Monday. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.